Coach, coming off a 44-0 shutout of Duke, next up is a duel on Friday night at number 13 Virginia Tech. First press conference of the year. I guess we'll start off with a little recap of Duke, of just what you thought of the performance of the team in Durham on Monday night.
Yeah, it was a very dominating performance. I was proud of our guys for the way that they went out and scored points, took a lot of risks, and I think that's something we've been preaching and talking about in our locker room and our wrestling room is scoring more points. And I was very happy to see that happen on Monday night. And I think that's ultimately what I took away from the performance is our guys were aggressive and taking a lot of risk and scoring a lot of points. And if we continue to do that, we're going to continue to get better and better for sure.
Certainly a tough schedule to start the season. The Duke duel was an opportunity for some either younger or maybe less experienced guys in your lineup to kind of open that up, like you said, with whether it's Riley Edwards at 141, Tomas Brooker at 184, just maybe even some other guys. What did you see out of those guys? It was kind of their first chance to really show some of that aggressiveness in a dual setting.
Well, I would say just in general, overall, I mean, I don't know, we've probably got at least 4 or 5 new starters, new faces in our lineup this year. And, I've seen a continual progression and improvement out of those guys ever since the first competition in early November. And I think that rang true on Monday night, seeing guys like Riley Edwards get his first start and, have a very dominating major decision win. He had a great Southern scuffle. And, he kind of has flown under the radar first semester because he was hurt. He was injured. And I think he didn't even get cleared to wrestle until after Thanksgiving. So, that's why you haven't seen him that much this year. But he's really wrestling well and, showed a ton of improvement. Tomas Brooker, I know he's going to be good. He continues to get better. He's got a tremendous work ethic. He's very disciplined. He's just young, and I knew he was going to make a lot of mistakes early on and that he would continue to grow and mature, and that's exactly what's happened. But I think I'm really just, proud of the way our team's progressing and the way that we're developing and getting better. I mean, we're a much different team now than we were. We wrestled NC State November the 2nd or 3rd, whatever that date was. We're a very different team now. And, we got another, big challenge ahead of us on Friday night. So.
You mentioned Riley's performance at the scuffle. I think 7 wrestlers placed there. You can kind of just recap that event between, we can get to Cody's performance in that between Riley and Chad Bellis making the semifinals and some other strong showings.
Yeah, I think it was a great, tournament for a lot of our guys, but especially, some guys like, Chad Bellis and Riley Edwards and some of those guys that really, kind of needed to get over the hump and have some signature wins, and I think they were both able to do that. I know Chad Bellis had a top 20 win at the scuffle, wrestled really well, very consistent, and I think you're seeing him, really – I think starting to come into his own. I think he's starting to establish himself as the guy that we can rely on at 25, and he's really good. When he's on, he's really good. Riley Edwards kind of came out of nowhere and surprised a lot of people. Like I mentioned before, he hasn't wrestled a whole lot this year, and but he's been putting in the work. He's had a great off season. Put a ton of time in the summer, and I think he's going to get better and better with the more matches he gets.
Cody's run to the final, I guess the highlight there is pinning a top 10 opponent from Stanford in the semis when he was down in the second period and kind of flipped that match in a hurry. What was that like to see from your perspective of the way he kind of changed that match to either, A, get himself back into it and then end it the way he did?
Yeah, well, Cody's a fighter. He's always been that way. He's never going to give up. He's always going to keep coming. And, even matches where he's down early, if, he gives himself a chance to come back and win because he's always looking to score points and always aggressive and he never gives up. But I think the thing about Cody is he can wrestle well in all 3 positions. He's never out of a match. Even if he's losing the takedown game, he always has the ability to turn a guy from top or to, reverse him or get away on bottoms. So I think he gives himself a lot of opportunities to win matches just by being good in all 3 positions. And so I think for him, just for confidence-wise, I think having that top 10 win over a returning All-American is probably good for him just mentally, knowing that, hey, I can wrestle with these guys in the top 10. And, I think that was the signature win he needed to kind of kickstart his confidence for sure.
Between Cody, Tommy Askey, Will Miller, Ethan Oakley, you've got 4 guys kind of in that consensus of top 33 rankings. Of just what does that mean at this point for you? And I know when you talk later in the seasons about qualifying bids and all that stuff, of just kind of the place that some of those guys are in as you look ahead toward March.
Well, I think those four guys specifically that you named, they've put themselves in a good spot to earn a bid to the national tournament. They've just got to keep, being consistent, wrestling well, but they've definitely put their name in the, in the national picture in the rankings, and that always helps. We'll have the first set of coaches panel rankings, I think, go out next week, and that'll start the process of qualifying the 33 bids at each weight class for the NCAA tournament. I think those four guys got a good shot, but I think we got several other guys that's got a good shot at getting in those rankings as well. Chad Bellis just had a top 20 win. I think he's starting to, really wrestle well. I could see him breaking in the rankings. Luke Uliano lost some really tight matches, some top 25 guys at Scuffle. He's right there on the cusp. So we've got some other guys, and that I think before long, could be cracking inside that top 33 as well.
Looking ahead, wrestle in Blacksburg on Friday night. Virginia Tech's a team that, I think 10 ranked wrestlers through their lineup. They were here in Boone last year, and so I got a firsthand look at them. Just what are some things that kind of stand out to you as you prepare for that duel?
Well, first of all, they're better than number 13 in the country. I'll tell you that. I think they've had a couple of dual meet losses where they, didn't have their entire lineup intact. They've had a couple guys injured or out for sickness and stuff like that. So they lost a couple of duels that maybe, has dropped them down to number 13, but they're capable of beating anybody in the top 10. So, I would consider that really to be a top 10 duel. We're going to have to come prepared. We're going to have to be aggressive. We're going to have to be ready for the fight because I know we're going to be in Blacksburg. They're trying to, I think, kind of get their guys back together and get their full lineup together, which I expect to see their full lineup on Friday night. And we expect a battle. They're not going to let us come in there and take it easy on us. We're going to have to, everything we get, we're going to have to earn. And I think our guys are up for the challenge. We're wrestling a lot better, like I mentioned, than we were early in the season. And I'm excited about the test.